Sirens wailed through the air, and I bolted up from the suitcase laid out on the bed, fear shooting through my veins, a folded blouse in my hands. Evening descended into the room, casting shadows over the unmade bed. The sheets were still tangled from when Lars and I had explored each other all night. We had only shared the bed once before everything went wrong, before he was taken from me. My heart pounded in rhythm with the loud hammering sirens. We were under attack. Lars was no longer himself, but his blood was, so the shield would have let him back in without warning. But this was someone else. I knew in my gut who that someone else was. Stavros. The new king had come to take what he felt was rightfully his throne, his house, and whomever was in it. Shite! I thought we'd have more time. It had been only a few hours since the stone had seized Lars. I hadn't even had time to call my sister. Terror thumped through every nerve, and fear curled in my throat as I ran down the hall, my feet smacking against the wood. "Piper!" I screamed. My only thought was getting to my daughter. "Mummy!" she cried as I burst through the door to her room. She sat on her bed next to an already packed suitcase, covering her ears. "I saw a mean man, Mummy." She rubbed her head. "He looked sort of like Dars. Where is Mr. Dars?" "Piper." I ran to her, cradling her to me. "You know that trip we talked about earlier?" She nodded, cuddling me. Giving her up for adoption was the hardest thing I ever did. But now she was back in my arms. I was never going to let her go. "We have to go now." "But, Mr. Dars, we can't go. What if he can't find us?" My lids squeezed together at the sound of shouting inside and out, cutting through the protective shield alarms. We had to go. Now. Stavros would not be kind to me. At best, I could hope for torture and a cruel death. If he felt how much power Piper already had, he would make her one of his slaves. "He will come back to us. Lars will find us again." I tried to comfort her, but it felt more like I was saying the words to myself. It hadn't even been 2 days since we returned, but she'd already forged a strong attachment to Lars, as though she'd known him before she ever met him. Perhaps, in a way, she had. Similar to my mother, who was a strong seer, Piper already had visions at the young age of 5, though druids didn't usually come into their own until much later. "Miss Fiona! Nina!" Marguerite yelled from down the hall, her footsteps already leading her to this room. Her short, plump figure filled the doorway, her face screwed up with worry and distress. "Miss Fiona! He is here, isn't he?" I had filled them all in on what had happened abroad and what we had to do, but Lars made me promise. I nodded, helping Piper off the bed. "Hurry, put on your backpack." I kissed her head. Bang! Gunfire boomed outside, and Piper ducked. She didn't cry or scream, but her eyes were wide with fear, triple the size of mine. "We have to go, Marguerite, now. Time might already be against us getting out of the compound safely." She nodded, her face turning stern. "Are you ready, Miss Fiona?" The pounding of feet snapped my head to the doorway. Nick, the sexy Spanish incubus, stood there in a t-shirt and jeans, his forehead lined with furrows. "Are you guys all right?"
"Uncle Nick!"
Piper ran to him, her rucksack bouncing on her back. He picked her up, set her on his hip, and kissed her temple. His face was impassive, but I knew he was just trying to act calm. "Hey, Squirt." While Lars and I were abroad finding the lost cauldron of Dagda, one of the 4 treasures of Tuatha De Danann, Piper had become especially close to Nick and Marguerite. I felt both grateful and envious of my daughter's attachment to them. Over the weeks, she had come to rely on them, trust them, love them.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.